Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Little King's Story playthrough. So, last time we were introduced to the wonderful kingdom of Alpoco, and our little king, the awesome Hauser the Bull Knight, Pancho the Cow, Verd, our records minister, and Liam, our anything minister. We also had a little bit of an explore around the kingdom, picked up a lot of treasure, and employed some of our citizens as farmers and others as soldiers. Or at least, we might not have employed any soldiers just yet, but we got the place to be able to do so. So, Hauser's great plan is to build a town square, which is going to cost us a lot of money. So, that's pretty much our job for today. Just lots and lots and lots of hunting for money. But now that we are able to get soldiers, we are going to be able to go south, because there are some enemies waiting for us down there. Or, as the game lovingly calls them, UMAs, or Unidentified Mysterious Animals. And they're all suitably quirky, because you're going to be fighting turnips, you're going to be fighting all sorts. Now, at this moment in time, I was kind of just like, I can't remember what all the buttons do. I just got very, very, very confused, because I probably should have had a little bit more of a practice with using my Tiny King. But these things happen. The one slightly annoying thing that happens at the start of Little King's Story is that, as you can see, you can only have 5 members of the Royal Guard at present, which means that you can't really get a whole lot done. Nice thing that you can do with soldiers is you can send them into houses and you can collect tax. Because, you know, we have to be mean like that. But we need that extra bowl, so, I'm just gonna have to make do. And this is something that is gonna come into being a little bit more frustrating later on than right now, is the fact that you can't really leave your soldiers to get on with their work. And by that I mean, if you run off the screen and just let them continue, well, if you want them to continue doing what they're doing, you leave them to do that, then they will immediately chase after you. At which point, they obviously stop doing what they're doing, and the thing that they've been spending all that time on goes back to full health, which is just like, ugh. So it does mean that you do spend quite a bit of the game just waiting around for your citizens to actually do stuff. I would say that it's like a big, big, big problem, but considering just the general mood of the game is one of just running about, having a little bit of fun. It's another of those relaxed pace games, like Kirby's Epic Yarn or Prince of Persia 2008. It's not asking you to go Bulletigate and expand the kingdom immediately. it's just going to be a little bit of slow burn, and more and more things will get added on top of what we have, so we'll be able to get more and more job classes as we go along. We'll be able to expand further and further throughout the world, and it's going to be glorious. Now, apparently Little King's story began development under the title Project O. I'm assuming the O because it's a circle, so it's like a crown. That's my assumption. The game was executively produced by Yasuhiro Wada, who is the creator of the Story of Seasons series, which pretty much started with Harvest Moon in 1996, and is now Story of Seasons, which is the new name for it, pretty much. Wada contracted a developer in Fukuoka to create a new title for the Wii and asked Yoshiro Kimura to sign on as a producer. As there was no other staff at that time, Kimura contracted Norikazu Yasunaga to aid in the game's design, Yoichi Kawaguchi to direct, and Hideo Minaba and Kazuyuki Kurashima to design the characters and monsters respectively. Kimura had worked on cult titles such as Moon, Remix RPG Adventure and Tulip, and came up with the concept for Little King's story. Kimura says that his inspiration for the game came from The Little Prince, a storybook he read as a child. His goal the first year in development was to create a real-time strategy game with easy controls, specifically one that used the Wii remote, and that is pretty much what they succeeded in doing. But let's just go to that The Little Prince for a minute, because it's a novella, the most famous work of the French aristocrat Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I'm not sure quite how I am pronouncing that, but obviously its French title is Le Petit Prince, or something to that effect. And essentially it tells the story of a pilot stranded in a desert meeting a young prince fallen to Earth from a tiny asteroid. It's philosophical and includes social criticism, remarking on the strangeness of the adult world. And though it is very much styled as a children's book, it makes several observations about life and human nature. So the narrator becomes, after growing up as a young boy, drawing a picture of a boa constrictor with an elephant digesting in its stomach. And then every adult who saw that mistakenly interpreted as a hat. And he laments the lack of creative understanding displayed by adults, and while he could have had a great career as a painter, it was crushed by the misunderstanding of adults. So then he became a pilot, and then one day his plane crashes in the Sahara. He is greeted by a young boy who he refers to as the Little Prince. The Little Prince asks the narrator to draw a sheep. The narrator first shows him his old picture of the elephant inside the snake, which, to the narrator's surprise, the prince interprets correctly. After three failed attempts at drawing a sheep, the narrator simply draws a box in his frustration, claiming that the box holds a sheep inside. And the prince is obviously quite happy with that. And the prince ultimately has a strange habit of avoiding directly answering any of the narrator's questions. And over the course of the 8 days being stranded in the desert, as the narrator attempts to repair his plane, the little prince recounts the story of his life, often caused by his discussion of sheep. Begins by describing life on his tiny home planet, spending his earlier days cleaning volcanoes and weeding unwanted seeds and sprigs that infest his planet's soil, and all sorts. He's then visited 6 other asteroids, each of which was inhabited by a single narrow-minded adult, each meant as a critique on an element of society. They include a king with no subjects, a vain man who believes himself the most admirable person on his otherwise uninhabited planet, a drunkard who drinks to forget the shame of being a drunkard, a businessman who endlessly counted the stars in order to own them all, a lamplighter who blindly follows orders by extinguishing and relighting a lamp once a minute, and an elderly geographer who had no maps of the world he was mapping because he claimed not to be an explorer. When the geographer asked the prince to describe his home, the prince mentioned the rose, and the geographer explained that he does not record ephemeral things such as roses. Obviously the prince is hurt and shocked by that revelation, and so the geographer recommends that the prince next visits Earth. Since the prince landed in the desert, he believes that Earth is uninhabited, and he met a yellow snake that claimed to have the power to return to his home, if he ever wished to return. Then the prince meets a desert flower, and it continues on like that. And obviously, in the present moment, the narrator's dying of thirst, but miraculously he and the prince find a well. And in the end, the prince allows the snake to bite him, and although the narrator tries to look for the prince, he's unable to find the body. And the story ends with the narrator's drawing of the landscape where the prince and the narrator met, and where the snake talked the prince's life. The narrator requests that anyone in that area encountering a small young man who refuses to answer questions should contact the narrator immediately. So, with all of that, that actually is very, very, very important for where Little King's story goes, because it deals with many of the same issues. In fact, I would probably argue that Little King's story is, in effect, a video game representation or adaptation of that Little Prince story. And the reason I say that is because it does follow that same arc of single-minded adult loneliness and the strangeness of the world, and there's a bit of social critique in there and all of that. So, yeah. You know, I really do love doing these commentaries, because it means that in the course of researching them, I come across things like that. Little literary references that I just would not have otherwise found out, and it allows you to appreciate the game a lot more. And that's really quite made my day. Now, this beach right here is going to be very, very, very important. Because I believe it's called the Overwhere Beach, or the Over There Beach. And basically what will happen is that if ever you lose any of your citizens in combat, they will wake up shipwrecked on the beach the next morning. I believe there is a way to lose your citizens forever, and I think at the point of recording this commentary I may have lost a citizen forever in my footage recording time frame. But there's not a lot I can do about that one now, but generally what you want to make sure is that if ever you lose a citizen, make sure you go to bed, wake up the next morning, go and get your citizen back, and then say. That is the safest way that you can go about it. I'm not sure if there's a specific time frame for that to occur, but it's something to keep an eye out for. Also, my word, we have picked up quite a lot of spoils. This is probably more than the game expected me to pick up at this point, and that is absolutely fine, because it just means that we have a little bit of an easier time come the next bit. Just means we have to pick up less money in the end. And that's one thing that is actually quite nice about Little King Story, is that it allows you to explore the world however you wish. It allows you to do whatever you want to do. So if you want to take one quest from the suggestion box, which we'll be seeing shortly, and not take others, you can do. If you want to go to one area first and leave another bit for another day, you totally can do. So there's quite a lot of freedom in this game, and I like that. And, oh look! Someone's going to be making use of the suggestion box! I wonder what they're going to ask for! Ah! So exciting!